we got to start with what do we mean by 21st century? I'm going to use that phrase because it's convenient, but to be perfectly blunt, I hate it because I'm not sure anything changed in the year 2000, and I think it's convenient language, but it doesn't really have any substance behind it. If I had to pick a phrase, I would pick School 2.0, even though it sounds sexier. It's much more practical because it means a two-way arrangement where, you know, the learner and the teacher are both engaged in a push-pull. And data isn't just expert-driven; it's co-created now, and it's 24/7 and it's limitless. So, but I'll use 21st century because it's convenient and easy, and everybody's sort of on board. But you know, share with me some of your assumptions about what we mean by that, and then we can begin to explore design and to see whether or not there are implications for a classroom or a lab, and we'll play into that kind of. Let's imagine a conceptual space that we'll design together over the day and maybe even the next couple of weeks. So share with me some of your biases about 21st century technology. What's different? What's the same? What's a Trojan horse? What's lipstick on a pig? What's exciting? And be biased. Be really selfish about because this has to work for you. It can't just be some sort of bureaucratic answer. So what are your expectations and biases, and then let's get into design after that.
I'll collect whatever we got. So jump right into it.
Well, some of the problems with like computer labs, something stupid like that in St. Paul.
Right.
Is that you're talking about old buildings that were set up not to be computer labs, so a lot of them are jerry-rigged. And then on top of that, they were set up for drill and practice.
Yes.
So the kids are facing walls instead of learning. The best place I ever was at was Galtier, which was set up as a technology school. So the computer lab was fabulous. They were all in like rows, but you could, you know, I mean, the kids could look at something and see. You know, you could actually project it, and they could follow along. I'm in a lab now that I absolutely hate, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Sure.
Plus, I wish that I had the background of a media specialist, because we have a huge library that, after this woman retires, is probably going to be put down to an EA position instead of a teaching position. And there's all this room where I think that you could do a fabulous marriage of a library plus a computer lab plus have what is it called? You know, Kindle type stuff.
Yes, sure.
But
well, that's great, and I appreciate your distinction between a computer lab, and that's often where schools believe they're pushing on boundaries, is they have a lot of technology in a room or space or a lab, and we congratulate ourselves on having a bunch of laptops or desktops. And the great problem with the classic media lab design is it's rows of computers, no eye contact, and it's not agile. And it's all based on a big box that dominates everybody's visual point of perspective. And we live in a day and age, and everybody sort of knows the two jokes. One is there's no such thing as a pencil lab, so having a computer lab beyond basic keyboarding instructions seems, as Chris Lehman will say, in the age of Google, it just seems ridiculous that we don't have agile, nomadic, ubiquitous technology. And we stop frankly, we gotta get to a point where we stop talking about the technology. It's not about the box, because those are really replaceable and frankly getting cheaper. But more importantly, to me, I would shift away in discussions, and there's a limit to what you can do in your school, but I always shift away from a computer lab model to a third space model. And I think the way people use Starbucks, and that's not the perfect example, but it's convenient, how we use these spaces where people push together chairs in just-in-time manners, and they have a laptop or several, and they're wireless, and they can fold the screens down so eye contact is maintained, and people can walk and talk and stand and shift and rotate the computer, but they're also on their phone, and they don't need to do everything on a laptop with a big screen that dominates or constrained to a keyboard that's in this scale. And I think that idea that when people need to be creative and collaborative, and as long as they have access to wireless, they don't need a lab. They don't need a perfect space. They need for me personally, if I don't have wireless, I'm dead. But then again, my phone can do it, or a MiFi, or whatever. But in general, as long as there's wireless, it's the perfect environment. It's a hotel lobby, it's a terminal of an airport, it's in a train, it's in a living room. You know, I walk around the house with my laptop and, you know, 1 minute's in my children's room, the next minute's in the bathroom, the next minute's at the dining room table. And I think, you know, in the real world, we're not limited by here's a place to go do computer. And I mentioned Chris Lehman a lot because, one, I think he's offering the only example of School 2.0 in America in this day and age, where the school fundamentally is it's not just a high-tech school, it's based on John Dewey. It's based on real work. Even if the laptops went away, kids would still be doing it. But everything is open sourced. Everything is messy. Everything is in motion. Every space is a lab, is digitally wired, and they don't need any one thing to be everything, but everything is everything. And we often talk about the stuff that, you know, the kid has the cell phone in the pocket, so how do you use it? As opposed to shut it down, how to use what's already there. And I think in a couple of years, what Chris and I talk about is you need labs to do really high-end media. You need green screen technology, big filming, big editing, high-power stuff where, you know, the only way to have a world-class artifact is to do it on high-end technology. But, man, the average kid needs Google Docs. They don't need a really expensive software option. The average kid needs QuickType, edit, collaborate, QuickType, edit, collaborate. They don't need, you know, we don't use 95% of what the computer is that we have anyway. We need messy, agile, movable now. And so we need labs, and I understand we need them for testing, we need them for keyboarding, but the average teacher needs messy. They don't need perfect lab. And that's a scheduling nightmare anyway. You know, so, you know, we're in a day and age, so I appreciate your early definition of, you know, you're in one school where it's not so great. You were in another school where it was really built for that from day one. And I suppose in a perfect world, I would want the Gaudet experience, not what you also are in now. But that being said, that's my daughter Berkeley who's shouting her words too. I'll just show you so you don't think I'm making her up. She is there. She is right there playing some sort of plastic item that has nothing digital whatsoever. So, you know, I agree, and what I am always a fan of is the teachers who go into the hallways and kids sit in a circle, and I'm a fan of kids who say to a teacher, "Can I take out my cell phone and show you what I mean?" And I think when the educator is comfortable with that, the space supports it. Otherwise, it's an either or. I won't do computer unless I can get the lab, and then when I'm in the lab, oh my God, it takes 10 minutes to sign up. And the kids are all distracted, and who knows if they're on Google or Facebook or whatever. And so to me, it's always a mindset issue. It's not a hardware issue. But that being said, it's because I don't care where I am.